Okay, so I've done my second alcohol wipe. I made my resin, and if you can see over in the corner, I'm in the middle of making another video for you as well. So it's a race to see which video gets put up first. Now, because I've been doing the pendants first, this has started to thicken, which is great. And all I'm going to do is pour a whole heap on here. And just finishing this one pendant that I totally forgot. Just letting this level out a little bit while I do this. Alright, so I'm going to put the last of my resin on, and then we will be able to spread it out. And it's just like doming pendants, really. Except this time I'm not going to do it quite as thick. The way I'm choosing to resin today is to be comfortable that I haven't got so much resin on here that if it does resist it, it's going to look stupid. If I put a second layer on. Okay. So I'm just using my stick to bring it over to the edges, trying not to run it over the edges because I really don't want to lose too much of it over the edges, but I do want to make sure it goes all the way to the edges. And once it's got a bit further, once I'm comfortable with it where it's at, I will rub the edges just to cover those and seal them as well, because these haven't been sealed with anything else. So it's already starting to resist, and so I'm just rubbing that silicone that is resisting. Hopefully by rubbing it into the resin, it will change the resist. The cool thing about resin is it's self-leveling, so if it's not resisting, it'll come out with a beautiful glass finish and all even in whatever angle you've dangled it. So you do need to make sure that your table, your surface that you are letting it sit on as it sets is nice and flat. And I know that my table's nice and flat. And I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm going to cover all of these so that they don't get dust and bugs and things in them like we've had in our previous pours. I'm going to air bubble this. So those edges are definitely not sealing up properly, but we'll be back. We'll have another go. We'll do another layer. And how does it get any better than this? Okay, so welcome back. Now what I want to show you is how this came away from the edges. There, it's quite obvious where my fingerprints were from having handled it. There's also some silicone patches in the middle where it's resisted. So what I've done is I have given this a sand down with some sandpaper and wiped it down with a wet towel as per the instructions on the, that's why you can see little scratch marks in here. It was perfect. So this was as per the instructions from Resin, who is who I am using, whose resin I'm using. And so I have done that, and I've mixed up my next batch of resin. I've also got a couple of other records here ready to have their first one, hopefully their only one. These ones I've actually wiped down twice with alcohol and sprayed twice with spray varnish, and so I'm hoping that that's actually going to create more of a clean surface for them to be resined on, and less silicone. So my gloves are a bit sticky from mixing the silicone. So I've just mixed up 40 mils of each. This is a 50-50 resin. I think I've already said that. And just gonna do the same as I did last time. Take it out to the edges. Alright, so we'll be back once this is dried. Okay, so welcome back to my shiny, shimmering yumminess. There's one tiny bit right on the edge, just here, and I'm okay with that. So next step, I've got a clean sheet down here, and I got to get this stuff off the back. So I just want to show you, this has got some beading on it. Some of the resin dripped over the edges. This is only 24 hours after I poured it, and it just pulls right off. See, look at that. Look at those beads of resin on there. But it separates straight away. No problems at all. So definitely get in there and get your tape off within 24 hours. You know, after 24 hours. And that will allow you to have a nice clean edge. It's actually a little bit sharp there. I'm going to wait for it's completely set, and then I'm going to come back and just give it a quick little sand, take off the roughness. But that's all good. I'm happy with that. So our next step is to drill our hole through. We've got tape on the back, a layer of paint, and then we've got 2 layers of resin. This is quite thick now, but it's nice and sturdy. Make a really good platter. But we're making a clock. Yay! So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cans out as a base so that I can drill through and know that I'm not going to hit anything. Okay, now let's bear in mind that Michelle has never done this part before. I've never drilled resin before. So I have my set of drill bits, and I'm also going to get my my clock mechanism out. Now, I bought this off Wish, and I like this one. And I'll see if I can remember to put the link in the description to this particular one. Because it came with its hands in a little plastic holder. The other one, they're just wrapped in plastic bag, and they can bend quite easily. Clock hands are really fragile, so I like this company. The other thing about this one over this one, it's got a handle, hangy piece, which this one doesn't. So that's something I would recommend looking for if you're planning on buying. Now, if you want to get the size of your drill bit, the easiest way to do it see how that rubber bit fits over really easy. So we want a bit that fits over that. Doesn't quite fit through the screw, but fits through the rubber bit really easy. So let's have a look. Oh, that one's actually too small. And that's the biggest one I have in my drill set. Although I do have this one, which is perfect. Look, it goes through that really easy. God, you'd think I'd planned this. I didn't. Huh. When the other one wasn't right, I was like, oh no. And then, ta-da! In amongst the mess in the bottom of my drawer box is that. How does it get any better than that? Willing to ask, that's what I mean. Willing to ask. So let's take out our hex heads. What would it take for this to fit? Yay, it does. Okay. Yep, it's going the right way around. Okay. Do you trust me? The question really that comes down to, do I trust me? Actually, you know what? One of the best things to do that I learned with woodworking, and I'm sure it applies to resin working, is to create a guide hole for your thing. See, on a drill, you've got a point. And if it's got something to sit into, this isn't very pointy, but if it's got something to sit into, it'll stay. If it's just, otherwise it will just slide all over it and we'll end up with drill marks all the way through here. And this is not completely hard yet, so I'm going to be trying to be as careful as I can. Alright, so I've just used a little push pin and created a little hole. As a starting point. Alright. Now I'm just going to take that off and just check that that looks centered with the hole. Yep, looks good. When your wood starts, or when you're screwing something, drilling something, when it starts to spin like that, you know you've made it through because it's got nothing else to grab onto and your piece is just spinning with that. Now, look, there's our little bit of paint. Awesome. And we now have a hole. How easy was that? Super duper lemons easy when you're willing to use a power tool. If you're not willing to do it, find somebody who will do it for you that you trust. So, how do we put a clock on? First of all, you make the hole. Bum bum bum. Now the hole needs to be slightly bigger than a record hole. Let me show you. Most records, the hole is not quite big enough to go through. So if you haven't resined it, easy way to do it is just get a sharp knife and just rotate in there a few times and just scrape a few layers of the vinyl off until you can push that through. But I've done that. I've drilled a hole that's going to fit and it just slides straight in. Check it out. How's it get any better? I've got a clock hand. Okay. Now, it's up to you whether you use this. I mean, basically you're going to end up with a black ring in the middle. On my last one, I actually put the black ring on there and then pushed it through. And find the hole again. There we go. So we've got that pushed through. I'm going to move the tins away so I can put that down flat on that. And let's zoom you in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got, you've got 3 hands normally. I think probably white hands would have been better for this than the black hands, but I only have black hands, don't I? Oh, no, this one's got white hands. Let's have a look. Let's make a choice. Oh, the helicopter's doing its dance outside. Alright. See what I mean? Came out bent. Now I've got to straighten it again. Make sure your hands are straight before you put them on the clock. It's really hard to straighten them once they're on the clock. Also, make sure your hands are the colour you want them. You can paint the hands once you receive them. And I did that on my last one. But once you push the second hand down into that bit, you can't get it back out. Well, I haven't been able to get it back out. So it pays So if we had our white hands, what do you reckon? White hands or black hands? I think the white hands are, I don't know, I need to be a bit further away to be able to choose. Let's have a look what you can see. I definitely think the white hands are the way to go on this one, because the dark blue is quite dark. Now, what I also want to show you about clock mechanisms, bent. Show you 2 different things about these 2 different clock mechanisms, and what that is the length of the spindle. You see how one's a lot shorter than the other. So, and you can order them, like when you're ordering them, you can see, like they tell you how long this is. So from Recall, that one's a 6mm thread. That's the measurement you want to look at, the 6mm thread. Yep. And that one is a 12mm thread, somewhere in there. Okay, so this one's actually way too big. I don't know if you noticed that. Which guts me, because that's the one I like, because it's got the hangy bit. But we're going to use this one, and we're going to use the white hands. So let's do that. That way, or that way, that way. Maybe not. No. If it's just a record, the 6mm one is actually fine. But now that I've got so much resin in there, like the resin's almost as thick as the record. A 6mm is not fine. Alright, so when you're buying your bits, make sure you get the one appropriate for the one you want. So I'm going to use the 10mm. Oops, haven't got the rubber bit on there. Okay. So then the next bit is this little washer. And then the next bit is the little screw bit. Find the prettiest side because you can. Now once again you need to do this well and truly good the first time. So, because once you've got your hands on there, your clock hands on, you cannot get a pair of pliers in to tighten that up very easily. Just be careful of how you do it so that you don't scratch your awesome. I'm liking it. Now before we go much further, we need to decide which way around we're going to hang it. It can be turned. I'm going to have it so that the 12 o'clock is up at that point. So that silver through the blue. So just got to make sure it's there. Make sure that the hangy bit is pointing at where I want the top to be. So I'm happy with that. Give it another twist. Happy with that. Now somebody asked, how do you put the hands, how do you make sure the hands are in the right place? The clock mechanism doesn't actually care. I know that sounds really crass, but it doesn't. It turns everything at the same speed, at the right speed for the seconds, the minutes and the hour hands, and it doesn't care where you've pointed them. It does care which order you put them in on though. And the cool thing about whoever manufactured these is that, as you can see here, they've each got different size holes, and then the second one has got this spindle, and inside here there's a little spindle. So what you've got is you've got two plastic bits and then a metal bit, and each of them turn individually. Okay. So I'm going to put them all in the same place. Yeah. This one doesn't seem to be pushing through very easily, and I'm not sure why. There it goes. Push that down till it stops. And then one last check of how straight it is. push that down until it clicks. There we go. Now all we need is a battery. Let's turn it over and put in our battery. So we've got plus that way, which is that end, and minus that way. Always put your plus in first. And push it down. Look, it works! It works! We've got a working clock, guys. So it's currently 2:46, so I'm half an hour early. So I'm going to take that back round. Oh, look, so this is what happens when they're bent. It got caught. Let's take that back to there and bend that nib down. Okay, so 2:46, with that being our 12 o'clock hand. And we have our clock. My first resined clock. How does it get any better than that? So thank you so much for joining me, and I'd love to see what magic you create with your clocks, with your record paws, with whatever you're choosing to have fun with regards to acrylic pouring. Have I fixed it? No, I haven't. Alright, let's just bend it a little bit more there. There we go. So you've got to make sure your hands are in the right position and they're nice and straight. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. If you want to come join us on the Acrylic Pouring for Fun Facebook group, we'd love to have you. It's a group for people who desire to have fun and contribute to each other. So if that's you, we'd love to have you. Come join us. See you soon.